Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit, and we are continuing our series of daily morning meditations looking at, for the most part, the lessons that are appointed for morning and evening prayer, what are known as the daily office lectionary, the readings that are appointed for those. And first I want to start off by saying, will you look at the grin on my face today? I woke up in such a fantastic mood, which is a leftover from yesterday's joy, because yesterday was the first Sunday since the middle of March that we had public worship on a Sunday at St. John's Church. As much as I've appreciated being able to do these morning meditations, and I thank you for your feedback on them, as well as the opportunity for me to be able to live stream my private masses and, of course, evening prayer, it's not the same, right? Nothing is better than worshiping the living God with those people you love who also love the living God. To be able to worship with the people of your parish is such a joy. And I was walking on clouds all day yesterday. I had wonderful dreams, and I woke up in a fantastic mood this morning. So thanks be to God for that. And I look forward to more people being able to return to public worship. I know that for some folks, their age and their health makes them want to be able to wait a few more weeks, to be hesitant, to make sure that the COVID virus is in fact going to be able to wane here in Michigan, as well as the reality that we open for worship on a holiday weekend. And if you know what people in Michigan are like, most of us in Southeast Michigan, or not most, but a great number of us, take holiday weekends away from Southeast Michigan, and we head up north to the lake, to cabins, and stuff like that. So I know I saw on a lot of Facebook wonderful pictures of people enjoying the Independence Day weekend by being up north. And so I look forward to their return in the coming weeks as well. Today, for our lesson, we have something very interesting because we are now starting at evening prayer, lessons from a book called the First Book of Maccabees. And you're saying to yourself, wait a second, I don't think the book of Maccabees is in my Bible. And I'm sorry to hear that if that's what you're thinking. Because the book of Maccabees is what is known as a part of the deuterocanonical books, deutero meaning second or second canon of Scripture. They're also known as the Apocrypha. The deuterocanonical books are books that are written basically between Old Testament and New Testament times. And what is interesting about them is that at a certain point, the Jewish people were controlled by the Greeks. And these particular books are written in Greek, just as all of the Old Testament was also translated into Greek because it became the language of education in that region under Greek rule. You may have heard of a word called the Septuagint. And the Septuagint means the 70 people who translated the scriptures from Hebrew into Greek. And these books, the deuterocanonical books, appear in the canon of Scripture written during this time period. And the early church, all the way up through the councils, till the final codification of the Scriptures at the Council of Nicaea in the 4th century, contained these books as a part of the canon or the rule of Scripture. It was only after the Reformation that certain reformers decided that perhaps they should not be considered to have the same authority that the books of the Scripture have, such as the Old Testament and the New Testament. And to be honest, there's a part of the problem for the reformers, many of the reformers, was that there are things in the deuterocanonical books that are used to justify doctrines in the church that they were not fond of. And so it was easier to get rid of them and to delegate them to the trash bin, they felt, than it was to try to explain them away. So the Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox churches, the two oldest forms of Christianity, are in fact still consider them fully authoritative. The Anglican Church, which is the English branch of the ancient church, has taken kind of what we call an Anglican fudge, and that is we recognize the deuterocanonical books as having authority. They are Scripture, but they're not authority for forming doctrine, right? So we've kind of gone halfway between the two. But if you have a Bible that says King James Bible and it doesn't contain books like the Maccabees and Ecclesiasticus and Tobit, you do not have a real King James Bible. What you have is an American Protestant version of the King James Bible, which removed those deuterocanonical books. In fact, the deuterocanonical books are a part of the Bible that was authorized for use in the Church of England by King James. That's right. That's why it's called the King James Bible. He didn't write it. He didn't translate it. He hired the group of people to do the proper English translation for worship in the Church of England, and the Episcopal Church is the American branch of the Church of England. So there you get your history lesson for today. But just for a moment, what are you going to find in the book of Maccabees? Well, the book of Maccabees is written during the time of this Greek occupation. And, the Greeks were very different overlords than the Romans. The Romans during Jesus' lifetime, when they took over and invaded an area, as long as you paid your taxes and didn't try to overthrow the government, they let you practice whatever religion you wanted, whatever culture you wanted. The Roman Empire allowed for a multiplicity of cultures and religions as long as you agreed to the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome, and you agreed to pay your taxes. You could get away with doing your religion. The Greeks, who were before that, were very much different. And so the first chapter, when you read that today, you have to read that with those eyes, that these Greek overseers, and this is what we deal with in our lesson appointed for today, the first chapter, beginning, I believe, the 40th verse, that has to deal with the reality that as the Greeks came in, what they did was began to oppress the Jewish religion, the practice of the original covenant between God and the followers of Abraham, right? The people of the Jews, the Hebrews. And so this is important for us to understand and to comprehend, because all of this now, the books of the Maccabees, are about the remnant of the people who refused to sacrifice to false idols, who refused to see the desolating sacrileges that had set up in the temple, and in fact not only continue to worship the living God, but ultimately will be the people who will go out and will overthrow this Greek desire to destroy the covenant between God and the people of the Hebrews. And I'll give you a little heads up. We're not even there yet, but remember that story of Hanukkah that you hear about around Christmas time? Well, that's where it comes from, the book of the Maccabees, the burning of the oil in the temple. The oil that should only lasted one day lasted for 8. And so anyway, so I'll look forward in the next couple of weeks. We will, of course, also look at our St. Luke's Gospel, but we will take a look at the book of Maccabees. If you do not have a Bible with the Deuterocanonical books, and if you look at the lectionary, usually a book that's Deuterocanonical will have be in italics in the listing of the lectionary. So you can find those online. They're available, Bible Hub, those sort of places that have the Bible online. Or you can buy a Roman Catholic or Orthodox translation of Scriptures. They'll be in there. Or you can order a version of the King James Version that's actually published in England, but make sure that it does have the Apocrypha in it. But anyway, so remember, folks, the worship of the true and living God must continue to happen, and the Maccabees would have nothing else to do with any religion and any government that would stop them from doing it. So anyway, we jump in that, and I look forward in the coming weeks to not only looking at more of the lessons of Jesus from St. Luke, but to look at how the Maccabees stood up for the faith of God and prepared really for us, the people of the new covenant, by fulfilling the old covenant. May God bless you.